Honourable members, may we take this opportunity for a silent prayer or meditation. Amen. Honourable members, it is with profound sadness that we formally note the passing of Honourable Mr. Njabulo Ricardo Tembo, member of the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, who passed away on the 8th of July 2020 and was laid to rest on Saturday, 11 July 2020. Honourable Tembo was a dedicated politician who served his party with diligence. He has also served as a mayor of KwaZulu-Natal municipality, and in 2019 he became a member of the legislature, where he served as a chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs until his departure. So the passing on of the South Africa's ambassador to Denmark, Miss Zinziswa Mandela, the daughter of the late struggle icons Nelson Mandela and Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Zinziswa Mandela was a political activist and was among those who fought the oppressive apartheid regime. When she was 8 months old, her father was sent to prison. Since then, her mother was also imprisoned often, sometimes for months on end, leaving Zinzi in the care of her elder sibling. In 1977, Madikizela Mandela was banished to Brantford, then in the Orange Free State, and Zinzi moved with her, taking her out of her normal life. She then moved to Swaziland, and upon finishing high school, enrolled at the University of Cape Town for a law degree. She soon became the spokesperson for her imprisoned parents. In 1985, her father was offered a conditional release by the then President P.W. Botha. She read her father's rejection of Botha's offer in front of thousands of people at Jabulani Stadium in Soweto, which marked a turning point in her political career. We also announced the passing on of Amakhabe Kingdom, Queen Noloyiso Sandile. Queen Noloyiso was born Princess Nomusa Zulu to the late Zulu King Cyprian Beguzulu Solomon, who is also the father to the reigning King Goodwill Zwelithini Kabhekizulu. She married Amakhabe King Maxhoba Sandile in 1988. Following his passing in 2011, Queen Noloyiso ascended to the throne as the acting queen until his son, Prince Jongu Olo, would come of age. The Queen will be remembered for upholding the traditions, customs, and culture of Amakhabe and the Xhosa people. We also note the passing of Gauteng MPL and ANC member Honourable Mr. Mapiti Matsena, who was attacked and fatally stabbed in the chest in his home on Wednesday, the 15th of July 2020. Maten was the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Community Safety and the Portfolio Committee on Infrastructure Development and Property Management in the Gauteng legislature. We also note the passing on of Honourable Miss Martha Phindile Mola, who was a member of parliament and a non-COP permanent delegate from the Mpumalanga province. Also, the passing of Dr. Lisa Joyce Temba and her husband, Mr. Baldwin Mtalane. Mr. Mtalane, who worked for intelligence in former regime and later became a cane grower and shopkeeper in his area. And Dr. Mtalane was also the former matron of Ngwelezane Hospital and later became the first Deputy Minister of Health of the erstwhile KwaZulu government and became the first chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Health when Dr. Zwelini Mkhize was the first MEC of Health. The couple died on Saturday night, 18th July, in an unfortunate situation where they were caught in a raging fire which gutted their home to ashes. Mrs. Doreen Regina Ali, mother to Rod Ali of the Security Services and Facilities Unit. Mrs. Ali was laid to rest on Thursday, 16 July 2020. Mrs. Agnes Sibisi, aunt to Honourable Miss Linda Hlongwa Mazala, who was laid to rest on Saturday, 6 June 2020. Honourable Ms. Dora Dunana Dlamini, former KwaZulu-Natal legislature member, National Assembly member, who passed away on 10 June 2020 and was laid to rest on the 26th of June 2020. Mr. Mzwakhe Westin Mapedengu, uncle to Miss Nontembeko Boyce, who was also laid to rest on Saturday, the 4th of July 2020. Mrs. Bongekile Mjali, sister to Honourable Mr. P.N. Msimango, who was laid to rest on Monday, 6 July 2020. Mrs. Samukelisiwe Felensia Gwala Twala, sister to Honourable Mr. Muzwenkosi B. Gwala, who was laid to rest on Thursday, the 9th of July 2020. Honourable members, in our thoughts and prayers, may we take a moment to remember all those departed souls since our last sitting because of COVID-19 and any other causes. Our condolences goes to all families who have suffered loss of their loved ones from the virus. In the same vein, on behalf of the legislature community, I wish to extend our gratitude for the work being done by the essential services workers, including but not limited to doctors, nurses, health practitioners, and all frontline workers. We must also add the passing on of Miss Linus Dlamini, a member of Umkhonto weSizwe's military wing, and also a member of the South African Communist Party, who has also passed away. Honourable members, may we give a moment of silence in honor of the departed souls. Yanga imiphefumulo yabo ingaphumla ingunaphakade. Honourable members, I will now announce the reason for the sitting. The sitting today has been called to confer the final mandate to NCOP on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill B9-2020. Ruling on virtual sitting and voting. Honourable members are reminded that this virtual sitting will be conducted in terms of the rules of virtual meetings read with our existing standing rules. In terms of Rule 6 of the rules of virtual meetings, the quorum requirement for virtual sittings of the House are as provided for in the Constitution and the standing rules of the legislature. Standing Rule 44 of the Standing Rules provide that at least 1/3 of all the members of the legislature must be present to constitute a plenary meeting for the legislature. The rules for virtual meetings also define present as follows. Present means the attendance of a member in a virtual meeting by electronic means in a manner that allows the member to join and participate in the meeting. The Secretary has confirmed that we have the required 1/3 of members in order to commence the sitting. The sitting is therefore properly constituted. On party voting, Rule 7D of the rules of virtual sitting also state that the presiding officer must, before or at the start of the discussion on the matter, expressly inform members if a party vote will be taken. In line with the above, I confirm that voting on the report by the Chairperson of Finance Portfolio Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill B9-2020 will be done on a party-by-party basis. A party vote is a collective vote on behalf of all the members of the party present at this virtual sitting, up to the total membership of that party in the sitting. I will, however, allow an opportunity for any individual member to vote differently from his or her party or to abstain, if any member wishes to do so. We will now proceed with the rest of the matters on the order paper. We'll go to the apologies. Honourable member, let me table the apology on behalf of Honourable BNC Tole Muloi, who has tendered their apology for joining the sitting late due to prior commitment. Honourable Ms. N. Dlamini and Honourable Ms. S.H. Mtetwa have apologized. Honourable members, Honourable M.E. Phakathi is unwell, and we also want to announce that there are other two members who have also been unwell but are recovering. Honourable M. Sonjika and Honourable M. Dulu, who all of them were infected by the COVID-19. We want you to always have them in your prayers, and we thank the support that you have given them in the time of their need. Let's go to item number 4, announcements or reports by the Premier. Premier, any announcements or reports?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I take this opportunity to extend our greetings to all members of the legislature. We will wish to make the following announcements. We remain deeply concerned, Honourable Speaker, about the continuing rise in the number of people infected by COVID-19 in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. As of Monday, 20 July, KwaZulu-Natal had recorded 43,215 positive cases, of which 29,291 were still active and are active cases. And sadly, we have suffered 430 deaths. While these numbers are tragic, we are, however, very encouraged by the fact that at least 13,494 people have recovered from the virus so far. COVID-19 affects us all, regardless of race, class, religion, or political affiliation. Among many initiatives made by the provincial government was the call to ensure that the legislature itself plays its role. Honourable members are being requested to pay regular visits to all wards in our province in a bid to drive the mobilization of all members of the community to understand this disease. And as His Excellency, the President Cyril Ramaphosa had stated categorically, it is not government acting alone that will stop this pandemic, but it will be the collective effort of all of us. We can only deal decisively with this COVID-19 if we join hands and work together. I also wish to extend our wishes to all members of this House and government officials who have tested positive. We wish them speedy recovery. This includes Honourable Sonjika, Honourable Pakati, and Honourable Mbali Ntu. Honourable Speaker, the second announcement relates to the report on allegations of fraud and corruption that emerged in the Department of Social Development. There have been allegations of fraud and corruption relating to procurement of goods and services in the Department of Social Development. When these allegations emerge, we quickly assigned the Provincial Treasury to conduct an investigation. We've identified that there were two issues, namely the procurement of blankets, which was about 22 million, and the procurement of personal protective equipment, which was about 19 million. Investigation on both have been concluded, and reports will be made available and made public later today. Honourable Speaker, I wish to send our condolences to some members who have been affected by accidents in the province recently. Our province has recently been hit by a series of tragic road accidents in which a total number of 3 people perished over the weekend. In the latest accident on Sunday, one man sadly died in a crash involving a truck and a sedan on R102, while on Friday, the promising lives of 2 teenagers were brought to an abrupt end when they were run over by a driver employed to drive the mayor of Panongoma, His Worship Councillor Albert Mlongo. We wish to take this opportunity to pay our deepest condolences to all those who lost their lives on our road. We do so, however, wish to express our condolences, particularly to the family and relative of Asanda Ngobo, who was 12 years, and her best friend, Olona Ndebele, who was 13 years, of which both of them died on the road R66. The two girls were walking on the road unaware that their life were about to end, so tragic. In this regard, the MEC for Transport, Honourable Begin Tuli, has announced an investigation that is being undertaken on this accident. We expect a statement in this regard very soon after that investigation is completed. Honourable Speaker, I wish also to send our deepest condolences to the family of Mr. Cyril Mbongwa of the God's Foundation of Foundation of God, who is originally from KwaMashu and have played a critical role in promoting gospel music in our province. And he made a sterling contribution towards social cohesion in KwaMashu and in KwaZulu-Natal at large. We send our deepest condolences to his family and the entire industry of music in KwaZulu-Natal. Honourable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. We now move to tables, which is item number 5 on the order paper. We have a tabling from the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. They are tabling the KZN Growth Fund Trust Integrated Annual Report 2018-2019. The Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs are tabling the 2018-2019 Annual Municipal Performance Report, Section 47. Are there any further tablings that may not be included?
Mama Somlomo, ubaba uNkosi, umhlonishwa uNkosi, bengicela ukusho ukuthi ngicela ukutablisha i-report ye-Finance Portfolio Committee.
Thank you, Honourable. Thank you, Honourable Chair. Now, we will move on to item number 6, formal motions or notices by the Chief Whip. Honourable Chief Whip.
No, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. There are no formal motions and notices from our side. Thank you very much.
Now, we will move to the orders of the day. The first order of the day is debate and voting on the conferral of final mandate on the division of Revenue Bill B9 2020. And the first speaker for 5 minutes is the Honourable Chairperson of the Finance Portfolio Committee, Honourable S. NKOSI.
Siyabonga Mama Somlomo ukusinika leli thuba lokuthi sithule lo mbiko egameni le-Finance Committee KwaZulu-Natal. Want to report that the Finance Portfolio Committee received the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill on the 2nd of July 2020. The committee was briefed by the National Treasury officials on Thursday, the 16th of July 2020. In accordance with the Section 118, subsection 1A of the Constitution of the Republic, the committee must facilitate public involvement in the legislative process. Accordingly, the bill was placed on the legislature's website together with a notice calling for written submissions. Furthermore, advertisements were published in print media in KwaZulu-Natal calling for written submissions on the bill. However, no written submissions were received, Honourable Speaker. The NCOP indicated that they wanted the negotiating and the final mandate on the 17th and the 21st of July 2020, respectively. On the 17th of July 2020, the NSOP Select Committee on Appropriations met to consider the provincial negotiating mandates. No amendments to the bill emanated from that meeting. The Portfolio Committee, Honourable Speaker, on Finance met on the 16th of July 2020 to consider the negotiating mandate. The committee unanimously agreed to confer a negotiating mandate to the NSOP and recommended that the KZN legislature do the following. 1. Adopts the report of the Finance Portfolio Committee in respect of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill. 2. Confers authority on the head of the provincial delegation to the NSOP or a delegate designated by the head of the delegation to cast a vote in favor of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill at the NSOP plenary. So, Honourable Speaker, we thank you very much for allowing us to table this report.
The next speaker for 7 minutes is Honourable Cq Malopa of the ANC.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, Honourable Members, viewers at home, strategic objectives.
Honourable Madlopa, I don't know whether it's me who is having a problem hearing you. Honourable members, can you hear Honourable Madlopa?
No, we can't hear you.
Yes.
No, Speaker Spuzwa.
No.
Honourable Madlopa, you are not audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, Honourable Members, viewers at home, the strategic objective of the founders of our democracy is to build a cohesive, united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous society in which the value of every citizen, regardless of their station in life, is measured by our common humanity. The commitment to improve the quality of life of all South Africans, both black and white, is an integral part of the ANC strategic objective of building a cohesive and prosperous society based on human values. In the quest to pursue the vision of the founders of our democracy, different challenges hinder the speed or pace of the progress to realize their vision. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused unprecedented shock to the economy and has amplified the existing inequality, condemned many people in unemployment. It also turned the budget upside down and imposed changes with respect to conditional grant to provinces and local government. The Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2020 is to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. The conditional grant transfers are also adjusted to fund the response to the COVID-19. The adjustments are structured to balance the large amounts required to respond to COVID-19, while simultaneously attempting to minimize the negative impacts on planned service delivery. This has resulted in the adjustment both in provincial and local government as a result of the pandemic. Of note is that both national and local government allocations has been revised upwards for immediate response to COVID-19. Grant funding of 13.8 billion in provincial grant and 12.6 billion in local government grant has been suspended. The suspension will result in the cancellation or scaling back of projects in the 2020-21 financial year. KwaZulu-Natal had initially received 86.6 billion for the COVID-19 and 446 million has been since been added to make the overall allocation amounts to 533.6 million for COVID-19. Of note is that the KwaZulu-Natal overall direct conditional grants have been adjusted downwards by the conditional grants 1.4 billion. However, the province has received an additional allocation of 446.8 million. And therefore, the reduction were reduced to 958.1 million. The additional budget is intended to procure personal protective equipment, ventilators, the hiring of additional staff to deal with COVID-19. Before the outbreak of the COVID-19, the South African local government was crippled by a number of challenges and generally failing to effectively and efficiently fulfill its constitutional mandate. Underspending on capital budgets, lack of institutional capacity, declining own revenue collection, poor financial management, to mention the few. We are of the view that these challenges should not be overlooked when dealing with COVID-19, as they could hamper the success of the COVID-19 interventions. Allocations through conditional grants declined by 8.9 from 51.4 billion in the 2020 budget to 46.8 billion in the adjusted budget. We acknowledge the need to make funds available for COVID-19 interventions, but our view is that cuts bring uncertainties on government in terms of planning, affect infrastructure investment and asset care. In the long run, they will affect service delivery and ultimately derail the achievement of NPP goals. There is therefore a need for a thorough assessment of the implications of the repeated reprioritization and budget cuts on some grants. We acknowledge that reprioritization was necessary to make funding available to address challenges associated with COVID-19. But reducing infrastructure grants aimed at rehabilitating and maintaining social and economic infrastructure such as schools and provincial roads would likely exacerbate the deterioration of infrastructure, and this has potential of escalating costs in the future. Education infrastructure grant is key with respect to construction, maintenance, and refurbishment of education and school. This grant is needed more now than before, given the high number of schools vandalized and destroyed during the lockdown period. The government should consider that the infrastructure rehabilitation and maintenance be prioritized in the outer years of the 2020 MTEF. Revenue available for sharing are diminishing at a faster pace. This is making it difficult to finance reforms that will boost growth and improve the fiscal metrics. A bold reform agenda is required in future budgets, anchored on fighting corruption, strengthening the capacity of states to coordinate and monitor, restoring an integrity of key state institutions, and improve the policy implementation. There is a need to enhance transparency and leverage for oversight and abilities to monitor spending. Portfolio committees need to oversee COVID-19 related spending and targets within the grant framework to ensure value for money. Stringent monitoring mechanism should be put in place to prevent instances of fraud and corruption. The fiscal constraints already faced by the government should not be undermined by a further drain on the fiscals.
Honourable Member, your time.
The road is bumpy. Let us all join hands.
Time has ended, Honourable Member. Thank you.
Bill 2020.
The next speaker for 5 minutes is the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition, Honourable HLABISA.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the COVID-19 has forced us to take a revised approach and direction as a country and the province. It has forced us to revise our budgets. As we approve this amendment bill, we must keep in our minds and hearts that this amendment is a forced intervention to focus more in saving lives. COVID-19 is now no longer statistics or projections, but is hitting us in our families, our friends, and the people we know in our communities. Unfortunately, Honourable Speaker, in the midst of this pandemic, a lot of malpractices will take place in the fiduciary processes of our country and province under the guise of COVID-19, as some of which will raise suspicion of a breach of statutory processes. Corrupt people have no heart, no sense of humor. If, as the legislature, we will sleep awake or become fragile in the hands of evil people, this money will end in wrong hands, while the innocent people who voted and trust us will languish in poverty and disillusionment. Post-COVID-19, we do not have to find ourselves asking questions, setting up commissions in pursuit of what happened and wanting to find the truth about the money that is not accounted for convincingly. One can only hope and appeal to the authorities in our province to maintain and stick to the virtues of integrity. When it seems like the sides are disintegrating in the governance of our province, at least the center should hold. Our executive in the province is the center of our governance, and it should hold and be accountable. As we approve this amendment bill, we are mindful of the fact that there is no actual additional money, but repurposing of funds. We are also aware that the GDP is expected to shrink, the debt service cost will increase, and expenditure will increase while revenue drops. This must really call for change.
Honourable members, Honourable Mwango, please switch on your mic. Thank you.
This must really call for change in our behavior and attitude in spending and accountability. We know that the departments of health, education, and social development and the local government sphere of governance will be in the spotlight during this pandemic. I am happy on behalf of the IFP, Honourable Speaker, that the Premier has committed today that the investigation report will be released around the 22 million rand, which was used to purchase blankets, and the 90 million on PPEs. The sooner this matter is closed and consequence management is done if need be, this will help to close the trust deficit between the public and the politicians. Again, Honourable Speaker, the issue in education around the cost of water tanks and the hand washing basin need clarity and correct public information, because so far the information received from the different sectors of our government does not hold. Honourable members of the executive, you will help us in also helping yourself by doing good with the administration of your department. The IFP remains committed in fighting the scourge of the COVID-19. While we keep in prayer all infected and affected individuals and families, we want to appeal to every one of us and the public that we need to change our behavior and attitude in funerals, in social gatherings, and our daily activities. Approves the amendment bill with a commitment to strong oversight against fraud and corruption.
Honourable member, thank you. The next speaker is for 4 minutes, Honourable F.A. RODGERS of the DA. Good.
Mama. For the average person in the province, the division of revenue bill is really of little interest. particularly during a pandemic such as we're facing with COVID-19. The only matters that really concern to people are, 1, will I survive this? 2, will I still have a job? There's nothing more and there's nothing less. These are the simple questions that we need to answer. The Division of Revenue Amendment Bill in response to COVID-19 will unfortunately not go a long way in addressing the health pandemic and its related challenges in the province, nor will it alleviate the post-COVID-19 economic meltdown that we will be facing. KZN will have to reduce its provincial equitable allocation from 111 billion down to 4.1 billion, and with further cuts in grants of just short of 1 billion. The bulk of this revenue will have to be redirected to the province's health department to try and assist and combat COVID-19. Added to this, of course, is the projected loss of provincial revenue that we'll face. It can never, Madam Speaker, be business as usual if we are to overcome the challenges that lie ahead of us. The DA has continually bemoaned the lack of a capable, ethical state, and statements that have always been rubbished by the ANC. In reality, this pandemic and the subsequent challenges have clearly exposed the fault lines that lie in the capable state. But Madam Speaker, don't listen to me. Mcebisi Jonas recently penned a sober and very accurate opinion piece on the state where he was quoted as saying, and I quote, "The centre is not holding, accentuated by the inherent weakness in the government and the ruling party," close quote. Former Deputy Finance Minister Mcebisi Jonas warns that South Africa has reached a dangerous economic tipping point and that the government has in fact run out of ideas. There is, and I quote, "little sense that anyone is in charge," close quote. He goes on to say that debates are often stuck between competing ideological positions rather than developing and driving real practical ideas. Jonas goes on to highlight that the focus should be on rebuilding the institutions that were hollowed out under the previous administration. The budget process has been balkanized, and with each new set of policy proposals, the process grows more confused. The Treasury, our lifeblood, the department that's supposed to coordinate macroeconomics, has been warning of fiscal collapse over the medium to long term, but it's increasingly a voice in the wilderness. It's a false dichotomy to have to choose, which is what we're currently doing, between reducing the fiscal deficit to avoid a sovereign debt crisis or spending our way into recovery. Madam Speaker, simply put, Jonas is saying no matter how we divide our available revenue, it will come to naught without a capable, ethical state and a lack of policy direction. So the answer to my original question, will we survive? Will we have jobs? The answer has to be no, unless we bring about some fundamental changes in the way which we operate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The next speaker is for 3 minutes, Honourable LG SEJA of the EFF. Honourable SEJA.
Thank you, Somlomo. Ngibulisa leadership EFF nabo bonke abahlonishwa. We must address the negligence and consistent incapacity of local state to address development within local government, as well as to correct the inherent historical disenfranchisement that administratively plagues local municipalities, right, and becomes a burden right up to provincial governance. It is appalling to still see the revenue bill continuing to ignorantly and disproportionately empower the 3 states of governance and government of local. It can be correct for the bill to grant local sphere of government within 47% of the revenue division, a mere 6% increase. It can be correct to expect the local state to rely on rates and taxes to deal with special apartheid policies inequalities and their impact on development, as well as the architectural legacy of poverty Black people inherited from the administration of John Foster and the colonial project. Besides the failure of the ANC to address the neoliberal orientation and character of governance, the kleptomaniac character of ANC-led municipalities continues to either collapse service delivery or maintain the same problematic subhuman conditions our people have been confined to since the epoch of this very gloomy democracy. Local government remains incapable of activating economic activity, service delivery, and addressing colossal infrastructural need. It is most disturbing to note a near 13% increase in the local revenue division across KZN municipalities, scattered between 11% increase in Umgungundlovu municipality, 12% increase at eThekwini and King Cqi municipalities, and other municipalities are only 13% increase. We cannot celebrate the increment particularly as an organization concerned with improving state capacity, service delivery, and economic freedom. As the EFF, we are grossly dissatisfied in the insult that is the revenue division, particularly in the mission of local and provincial government in correcting historical marginalization, and the intentional underdevelopment of local municipalities that service the poorest of the poor. Where must this capacity that our people so surely need to come from if the state continues to disproportionately divide the state revenue? The prioritization of local sphere is important in addressing these issues. The budget must be divided further as the EFF.
Honourable member, your time has expired.
I cannot agree with the bill.
The next honourable member for 1 minute is Honourable VR Mlochwa of the NFP.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The NFP accept and acknowledge the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill in response to COVID-19. However, the question is, will the bill prosper in addressing the health pandemic and its related obstacle in KZN? And also, will it improve the post-COVID economic collapse with the sovereign debt crisis now a pending certain for South Africa? As the NFP were concerned that the amendment bill did not indicate how funds were repurposed within grants and not enough money had been allocated for economic recovery. The focus has been primarily on health and security, which is reasonable, but we argue the fact that money has been actually taken away from sectors that would stimulate the economy and create self-employment. Somlomo, the whole country had been declared a drought disaster.
Honourable member, thank you.
Umdlwane Speaker, kodwa kusenani.
It's too much for him.
We want to remind members to kindly switch on their videos when they are taking the podium to debate. The next speaker for 1 minute is Honourable S. Thakur Rajbansi for the MF. Honourable Thakur Rajbansi.
Yeah, thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier and Chairperson. The MF notes that every effort has been made to facilitate public involvement to make submissions which could have assisted on future revisions, given the demands that COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked on KZN. The MF further notes that our provincial fiscus and that of local municipalities are being stressed. Therefore, the MF recommends that apart from reprioritization of intra and inter-departmental budgets to cope, revenue adequacy, that is, the administrative burden of the revenue source should not outweigh revenue generated, has to be tightrope walk currently, all round. Honourable members, we must give serious consideration to regular cash flow reports to portfolio committees to manage our reduced finances. With these words, the MF agrees to the recommendations of the KZN Finance Committee to confer a negotiating mandate to
Honourable
NCOP.
Member, thank you. Thank you. The next Honourable Member for 1 minute is Honourable M.E. Phakathi of the ATM. Honourable Phakathi, are you in the house? Honourable Phakathi is not in the house. We will go to the next speaker for 1 minute, Honourable S.E. Manqele of the ACDP. Honourable Manqele.
Speaker, ACDP appreciate the additional funding that will be made available to the municipalities to maintain existing services, cover some additional expenses incurred in responding to COVID-19, including emergency water supply, sanitization of public transport and facilities, and food and shelter for the poorest. The ACDP appreciate that the HIV, TB, malaria, and community outreach grant have been increased. It is critical that that care for existing HIV, TB, malaria patients continues, while due attention is given to COVID-19 patients. ACDP adopt the bill. Thank you very much, Speaker.
The next speaker for 7 minutes is Honourable M. Govender of the ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes,
thank you,
Honourable Member.
Okay. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, let me commence by reminding all of us that we are in the middle of a terrible pandemic wreaking havoc in our lives, our province and our country. And in fact, as KZN, as the Honourable Premier has pointed out, we are actually galloping towards becoming an epicenter. So each and every one of us needs to observe extreme care and follow the regulations. As you are wearing a mask, Honourable Speaker, I am not because I'm at home, but as you are wearing a mask, washing our hands, maintaining our physical distance. We have had to come up with urgent measures to deal with this pandemic, and there are enormous additional spending pressures that have been thrust upon provinces and municipalities, most of whom are already facing declining revenues. However, the equitable shares do need to be protected so that there is a level of budget stability, and the local government equitable share has to be increased because there is lost revenue and support whilst there is increased spending related to COVID expenditure. So the country has employed different mechanisms to respond to the pandemic. There has been 4 billion in reallocations that were approved in the 2019-20 DORA. They came from uncommitted funds that had been released from provincial and municipal disaster relief grants. Then the 2020 Division of Revenue Act gazetted frameworks, which included additional conditions allowing for COVID-19 spending from existing grant baselines, and it enabled the reprioritized use of about 7.4 billion in grant funds for provinces and 9 billion for local government. And the June Special Adjustment Budget includes a Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, which we are talking about today. So the approach to COVID is to reprioritize within each sphere, with each province and municipality having to adjust its own budget. Honourable Speaker, I will focus on the provincial and local government equitable share because my colleague, our Honourable MADLOPHA, has addressed the issue of conditional grant allocations and adjustments. So as I've said, the approach to COVID-19 is to reprioritize. You will find, Honourable Speaker, that in this Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, there is no figure relating to funding for provinces, simply because provinces have not been allocated new funds. They have had to adjust and reprioritize from within their existing budgets. Originally, a figure of 20 billion nationally was expected to be drawn from provinces, 30 billion, was expected to be drawn from provinces, but as provinces pointed out, the figure of 20 billion was more realistic and doable. These reprioritized funds are drawn from savings on activities, things like travel, venue, hire, and catering, because these generally are no longer possible. There have been unspent funds due to lockdown regulations. For example, most infrastructure grants were not spent under level 4 and 5 regulations. There was also monies that could have been drawn from possible underspending in provinces, and 5 billion in local government that could be reallocated in 1920. However, as has been pointed out, reprioritizations on this scale means that some of the projects will be delayed. However, COVID-19 cannot be delayed. And this is why reprioritization is occurring, and the funds will be used to fund key services at the front line of the pandemic response. This includes the public health system, schools, and social welfare services. As I've said, the DORA bill then does not reflect the provincial shifts because they are internal. KwaZulu-Natal has reprioritized 3.1 billion to health and 1.035 billion to other sectors. Honourable Speaker, I want to sound a note of caution. As the ANC, we want to see these funds properly spent and accounted for. COVID-19 expenditure on PPEs and other COVID-related necessities can't become an opportunity for unscrupulous individuals and enterprises to abuse public funds. And we are concerned as the ANC about various reports saying that hand sanitizers are not of the desired specifications, or that there are fewer masks than ordered, delivered to schools, or that inordinately high sums have been paid for water tankers and blankets. And Honourable Speaker, in this regard, we must welcome the announcement that the Premier made today that later on there will be a release of reports into certain investigations that have been done relating to COVID-19 expenditure. We welcome this, Honourable Speaker, because we think that in this period we can't give ground to unscrupulous individuals and organizations to exploit what is a disaster for our people. You can't exploit people's misery to line your own pocket. We also want to call on Provincial Treasury to monitor COVID-19 procurement and PPE expenditure so that in terms of the regulations, departments do follow that and funds are properly utilized. There are prescribed laws and regulations that have been passed. So it's not that government is unmindful of the fact that things are open to abuse. These regulations were passed. We want them to be adhered to. We want Provincial Treasury to conduct the necessary reviews and report where it needs to report. In terms of the local government equitable share, Honourable Speaker, we are aware that many municipalities, even before the pandemic, were in distress. And local government spending pressures as a result of this pandemic have increased because it is local government providing water and sanitation infrastructure. It's providing sanitation for public transport facilities and vehicles to allow the economy to reopen. And it's also providing additional water sanitation and waste services in informal settlements and poorly served rural communities so that the COVID-19 regulations can be adhered to and our people can be kept safe. In addition, local government is providing temporary shelter for the homeless. So the additions to the local government equitable share are a welcome relief because it assists municipalities. And there are two components that are added from the formula, the basic services component and the community services component. KwaZulu-Natal municipalities receive an addition to the equitable share of 2.179753 billion. Honourable Speaker, the ANC supports this bill.
Now, the next speaker is to respond to the debate is the Honourable Chairperson of Finance, Honourable NKOSI, for 5 minutes.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Somlomo, but the first thing that I would want to all of us to understand is that this is not a new budget, but it is the amendment to the budget and it is a technical exercise. If you miss that point, you will not understand the bill, what is it all about. I would want to agree on everything that the debaters of the African National Congress have indicated, because they have made it very clear that this bill is dealing with the reprioritization and the repurposing of the budgets which we have already passed as provinces and other levels of government. The third thing that we would want to assure Honourable HLABISA about is that the announcement that was made by the Premier of our province around the report that they are going to release very soon is dealing exactly with what are his concerns. We would want to remind all of us that from 2009 to date, the ANC-led government is very firm around the question of fighting fraud and corruption. This point is very important. We in the ANC and in the Finance Portfolio Committee as a whole would need to heed the advice by the chairperson of the Select Committee on Finance in the NSOP, Comrade Eunice Karim, that this time is not for politicking, but is to face the enemy which is invisible and defeated. We are not doubting that the virus shall be defeated at all costs. That's why then we'll have to listen to what the government is indicating. Those who are rejecting the budget, I feel sorry for them. I mean, the bill, I feel sorry for them, but I've understood as an old teacher that they did not understand the purpose of this budget. Somlomo, sifuna ukusho nje ukuthi thina ANC asikudoubt ukuthi if there is any wrongdoing, that wrongdoing is going to be addressed by the oversight committees, the AG, and the provincial treasury that is doing financial oversight over all government. And we don't doubt, Honourable Premier, that he will call for investigation as the head of the government so that the wrongdoers are tackled, as the Premier has initially indicated. We are indicating to you, Honourable Speaker, that we're unanimous in the meeting on the 16th in support of this budget, with the understanding that all of us have got the responsibility to protect the monies that our government is putting aside in order to help our people. Thank you very much, Somlo.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, and thank you to all honourable members who have participated on the debate. We have now come to the end of the debate on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, Bill 9-2020. The House now needs to confer a final and voting mandate on the bill. As per the request of the Finance Portfolio Committee, I now put the question to the House as follows. The KwaZulu-Natal legislature agrees to confer authority on 1, the KZN provincial delegation to the NCOP to cast a vote in favor of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, D9-2020, at the relevant NCOP Select Committee, and 2, the head of the provincial delegation to the NCOP or a delegate designated by the head of the delegation to cast a vote in favor of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, D9-2020, at the NCOP plenary. I will now go party by party, as I have announced at the beginning, to get the vote of parties. I will start with the IFP.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Speaker, the IFP supports the amendment.
The DA.
Madam Speaker, the Democratic Alliance supports the amendment bill. Thank you.
EFF. The EFF.
The Kankan have spoken.
The
Makhathele EFF abhize ama-deals e-Northwest.
But asisupport le bill le.
Oh,
Le bill asisupport EFF.
Isalungekho emhlanganweni.
The NFP.
Asisupport mfethu because I get to believe fanele capacity abantu
Honourable Member Duma, order. Mute your mic, Honourable SEJA. Thank you. The NFP.
Honourable Speaker, the NFP support the bill.
The MF.
Honourable Speaker, the Minority Front supports the amendment bill. Thank you.
The ACDP.
Speaker, ACDP also support the bill.
The ATM. The ATM is not in the House. The ANC.
Honourable Speaker, the ANC support amendment bill.
Honourable members, whilst the Secretariat is collating the votes, I have the votes of the parties. Is there any member who wishes to express an individual vote that is different from their party vote or to abstain? Is there any individual member that wishes to abstain or express an individual vote that is different from their party vote? Yeah. There is no person that is expressing an individual vote. It is now recorded that the mandate then on the division of the revenue bill is supported by all parties but one. The mandate will be conferred as such at the next sitting of the NCOP Select Committee. Honourable members, we are now going to move to the next item on the order paper, tribute by parties following the passing of the late Honourable Mr. N.R. Tembo. I will call upon Honourable S.E. Manqele of the ACDP for 3 minutes.
Greeting Speaker and our Honourable Premier. We as ACDP expresses our heartfelt condolences for the passing of the ANC KZN provincial spokesperson, the late Honourable Ricardo Tembo. We ACDP are saddened by his untimely death. We offer our sincere sympathies to the late Honourable Tembo's family. I had the pleasure of working with him at the COCTA Portfolio Committee. During this period, I have observed his outstanding leadership skills and the respect he had for the people irrespective of which political party they come from. I was impressed in the impeccable manner he carried himself out during the debate in Parliament and in community participation forums. His bravery to correct members from his political party is admirable, which proves the respect and love he had for our province. It is time we turn from our weak ways and pray God, and God will hear from heaven and heal our land. Our prayers are with late Honourable Tembo's family. As believers in Christ, the Bible tells us that being absent in the body is to be present with our Lord Jesus Christ. Our Lord tells us through the Bible in the book of John, chapter 11, verse 25 to 26, where Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live, and anyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. May his soul rest in peace. Amen.
Thank you. The next party for 3 minutes is the ATM, Honourable M.E. Phakathi. Honourable M.E. Phakathi is not in the house, so we will move to Honourable S. Thakur Rajbansi of the MF.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable members, any death is tragic at any time, but during COVID-19, we are all very sensitized to what we can now view as death staring us in the face beyond our complete control. Losing public sector and political colleagues is very traumatic, as we too are frontline servants and soldiers who have to interface with the public. The loss of Honourable N.R. Tembo is indeed a great loss of a servant and a soldier to the people of KwaZulu-Natal. The MF takes this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the Tembo family and friends. The MF also wishes to use this platform to make a sincere plea to our honourable members to be very cautious in all our interactions within our constituencies to protect others, ourselves and our families by practicing social distancing and every other aspect to protect ourselves so that we can also bring about awareness in the communities using various social media, other platforms, so that our communities can be equally vigilant, as our Honourable Premier has reported this morning. So I take this opportunity then to again express our condolences on the side of the Minority Front, and may the soul of the Honourable N.R. Tembo rest in peace. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. The next member is Honourable V.R. Malopa of the NFP.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, Honourable members. The NFP in the province is hereby paying tribute to the late Honourable Ricardo Tembo and convey its heartfelt message of condolences to his family, friends, the ANC, and the KZN legislature who has passed on due to COVID-19. The former mayor was the good person to work with. He knows no political barriers in issues of development. It was easy to interact with him due to his friendliness and calmness. We will miss him dearly and sadly. May his soul lay the catalyst way of find solution to deal with COVID-19 and to find cure and etc. In paying due respect to him as the legislature or public representative, we must vigorously intensify our campaigns to teach people about protective measures like staying at home, social distancing, wearing mask, etc. We pray that his family, friends, and colleagues find solace and his life be always remembered and cherished by us and generations to come. May his soul rest in peace. Laluphumule mnisi, wemvula ilanga libalele. God be with you and your family. In God we trust. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The next member is Honourable A.V. Khoza of the EFF.
Honourable Somlomo, on behalf of Vusi Khoza, Honourable Khoza, I'm going to speak on his behalf. The economic freedom fighters in the province sent its heartfelt condolences to the Tembo family, the ANC, and the KZN legislature following the passing of ANC spokesperson and MPL, Mr. Ricardo Tembo, who has passed on due to COVID-19 related implications. This must be an indication that COVID-19 is real and is fatal. Hence, we encourage people to continue being vigilant by abiding to the safety regulations of staying at home, social distancing, wearing masks, etc. His family, friends, and colleagues find solace during this difficult period. To date, South Africa has lost so many lives due to this pandemic, and we also wish to send our heartfelt condolences to everyone who has lost a loved one due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Somlomo, okunye siyathemba ukuthi mhlambe ikhwelo le-EFF liyoze lizwakale masithi even izikole azivalwe ngoba manje njengoba kuJune sibona ukuthi kusokhuphuka kakhulu le sifo ebantwini and ingane zethu zikwi-high risk. Mhlambe iqembu elibusayo ke likhohlwe nje ukubheka into esinemali phakathi because we are aware ukuthi nivula iy'kole nje it's because nifuna ukuthola le mali ye-nutrition. You cannot open schools whilst thina manje sisebenzisa ama-cultural so sizama ukuthi-ke mhlawumbe nilalele ikhwelo le-EFF masithi thina valani izikole nizobulala abantwana. Nani niyabona le sifo siyabulala. Thanks kakhulu Somlomo.
Ukhalela umndeni.
Siyakhala sonke la Somlomo.
The next member is Honourable Z.M. Mngcwango of the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, allow me on behalf of the
Honourable Mngcwango, your video is actually cancelled. That's what it's showing.
My network is bad, Honourable Speaker. I will struggle with my network. Can you allow me to proceed?
In future, maybe you can continue. Honourable Sanjita, please. In future, do that prior, Honourable Member. The request must come prior in future.
Okay, let me try, Speaker, but it might give me problems because I think you miss me, you want to see me. I think it's better now. Honourable Speaker, allow me...
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
You can go ahead.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, allow me, on behalf of the DA, to pass our condolences to the family of Umvelase and all members of legislature as we pay tribute to him today. The reality is that no one will ever understand or accept the death of the loved ones. We all don't know our time, but we all know at some stage it will come. It's a matter of when and how. The passing of Honourable Tembo should remind us of why we are here and try by all means to serve our communities with integrity. Every decision or actions we take become part of our history, even if you don't write anything down about yourself, but those behind will remember and write something. I'm reminded, Honourable Speaker, of our very last portfolio committee meeting. We were discussing a very sensitive item, but it was clear that the ANC and members of opposition were not closer to reaching consensus or any form of agreement. Umvelase was just quiet during the meeting and having that robust debate amongst members. But after a while, after everyone have spoken on that item, he then raised his hand and he made a very short comment, but it was very critical comment because he was able to find a compromise position and all parties accepted without any reservation. The lesson one draw from Umvelase is that sometimes it's good to listen all sides before and also before you find a solution. Honourable Speaker, again, allow me to pass our condolences to the family, and let us all remember this pandemic is real and we must stay safe and protect all the loved ones. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next member is the Leader of the Official Opposition, Honourable HLABISA.
I think, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Speaker, Honourable
Yes,
Speaker,
Honourable Member.
Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member. Honourable Kuala.
I think there was something wrong with your program, because I'm the person who will be speaking.
I wouldn't know, but this is what I received from the office that is responsible of speakers list. But you can go ahead and speak, Honourable B. Kuala, on behalf of the IFP.
Honourable Speaker, the platoon of the KZN legislature is one soldier down, following the untimely death of ANC spokesperson, Honourable Ricardo Tembo, who passed away on the 8th July 2020. Tragic as it is, we members of the legislature battalion, under our General, Premier Sihlezi Galala, and his lieutenants, that are political leaders, one of them being leader of the official opposition, and IFP President NKOSI HLABISA, must continue to fight the battle of poverty, unemployment, and equality as entrusted to us by KwaZulu-Natal citizens. Honourable Ricardo Tembo was a brave soldier in the battle against our common enemy of COVID-19. He fearlessly joined his fellow soldiers on the front lines of the battlefield. As a deployed soldier, he worked tirelessly to make sure that the people were kept informed about the many different faces of the adversary. Honourable Tembo is remembered by his fellow soldiers in the legislature platoon, his commanders, and even his foes as a selfless, bold, and heroic leader. We honor him and his contribution in the fight against COVID-19, but also for his valiant contribution in the battle for democracy and as a servant leader of the people under his charge. Today's gesture is such befitting one we hope contributes of his magnitude will apply to all members. The case of the animal are equal, but some are more equal than others, should be discouraged, as it was the case with the late Honourable Mtolipim Timkulu, who was denied a fitting tribute. As long as a long-serving member of the legislature, it is customary to call an urgent legislature sitting in order to pay tribute to a fallen cadre. May Umnisi Wemvula's soul rest in peace. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The next member to come and speak on behalf of the ANC is the Honourable Premier S. Zigalala.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Honourable members of this House, on Wednesday, the 8th of July, Honourable Ricardo Njabulum Tembo, a member of this legislature in the 6th administration, departed to the world of eternity. Indeed, his passing away is still fresh in our minds, and it will take a while for our wounds to stop bleeding. Once more, we convey our heartfelt condolences to his wife, his mother, children, relatives, and friends. We further thank them for disclosing that Honourable Tembo succumbed to COVID-19. We all need to ensure that we take full responsibility to educate our people about this invisible deadly virus. We must focus on capping the spread and eliminate stigmatization. Honourable Tembo distinguished himself through selfless services and remarkable humility. Growing up in Greater KwaDukuza, he endeared himself to the community of Krisani and surrounding areas. He dedicated himself to the struggle which nearly cost his life. He endured untold sufferings and torture at the hands of enemy agents. Indeed, instead of being bitter, resentful, and vengeful, he understood that the success of our noble struggle was not dependent on revenging against our adversaries, but building peace and laying a solid foundation for creating a better living conditions for the oppressed black majority. While his demise at the prime of his age, we have lost a champion in local government and local economic development. His outstanding record as a mayor of KwaDukuza speaks for itself. Our own legislature have lost a seasoned cadre who was driven by the pursuit of the national democratic revolution, whose character and vision is a united, non-racial, non-sexist, equal, just, and prosperous society. Our legislature will miss his wisdom, gentleness, calm, humor, firmness, and assuring voice. The African National Congress will not seek to replace him because a Ricardo Tembo comes once in a lifetime to inspire humanity to be agent of radical change and peace and development. We must use his memory and legacy to sustain united and implementation of policies that will ensure the restoration of human dignity. In bidding farewell to Honourable Tembo at his funeral, I borrowed the words from Nicolia Ostrovik, who said, and I quote, "Man's dearest possession is life. It is given to him but once and must live it so as to feel not torturing regret for wasted years. Never know the burning shame of a mean and a petty past. So live that, dying he might say, all my life, all my strength were given to the finest cause in all the world, the fight for the liberation of mankind." Close quote. We thank Honourable Mvelase for choosing the finest cause on earth, the liberation of our people from the shackles of oppression, human indignity, and underdevelopment. Let us all unite and advance the development of our province of KwaZulu-Natal, and may his soul rest in peace. I thank you.
Thank you, honourable members and all parties that have paid befitting tribute to the jungle giant that we were given to be a colleague and a brother at the beginning of the term. We appreciate the participation in the tributes. We know that whenever as a legislature we move forward, we will be standing tall because we'll be standing on shoulders of giants such as the late chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in the legislature of KwaZulu-Natal's 6th term. With that, we want to say to all honourable members, as we are about to end, do remember that the fight with the COVID-19 is still on, and it needs all of us to be vigilant. It needs all of us to wage a relentless fight by ensuring that we don't stigmatize those who have already tested positive, but by also ensuring that we do not let our guard down in terms of sticking to the regulations. Let's stick to the regulations promote social distancing, wear the mask when we are leaving our own homes, ensure that we practice hygiene, and at all material times, we respect those who have been infected and support them. Honourable members, now that we have come to the end, the legislature will be adjourned until the 23rd of July 2020, where we are going to meet through a hybrid mode. The House is adjourned.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Somlo.